Did you wake up this morning and think, I am alive, and it is marvelous to be alive? Now, for most of my life, I didn't wake up like that. But you know, in recent years, I've started waking up like that. And it is truly a gift to be alive. And if I look out the window today, Cape Town is howling. The wind is crazy, it's raining, it's miserable. But you know what? It is such a privilege to be alive. So how do we get to that state? How do we get to that place where we actually wake up every day, irrespective of the crap that I've got to deal with? Because believe me, I have crap too, just like you do. We all have things we've got to deal with that are not fun, but I still love being alive. So how do we get there? I truly believe that it's by understanding and unpacking who we truly are, both the darkness and the light, bringing it together, understanding our head, understanding our heart, understanding our ego, understanding our intuition, understanding all the layers of our identity and bringing it all together. I truly believe that when we understand who we are completely, the big picture, we will wake up with more meaning and more fulfillment and a greater sense of purpose than we ever dreamed possible. So how do we do that? Now, this video is far too short for me to unpack absolutely every step, but I do want to just focus on the heart today. I want to talk a little bit about the heart. And before you stump me and say, oh, Chantel, that's all sorts of woo-woo for me. You know, I don't live a heart-led life. I believe in logic. Let me just caution you. What I'm about to bring you is scientific information. And I love when science can connect the dots of intuition and make us or help us to understand how we're created. Because if we know how this body functions and we know how this body communicates with the different parts of this body, surely that contributes to our sense of identity. We will understand things about ourselves in a way we've never thought of before. So I came across some literature last week that I've been researching and diving into since then. And there's a chap by the name of Dr. Andrew Armour. And he published some material some years ago where he said that about 60 to 65% of the heart cells are in fact neural cells. Okay, so stop and think about that for a moment. Heart cells, we've always thought, was just a muscle, right? And all representation of the heart is about love and Shakespeare and all those sort of ephemeral kinds of things. There's no real substance to the heart as the emotional center. Dr. Andrew Armour got it. 60 to 65% of our heart cells are in fact neural cells. Now, if we take that 60% of neural cells, let's look at what they're responsible for. Half of them are responsible for the body's processing. Now, I'm no doctor, but that's the stuff that keeps you alive, right? Pumping hard, getting oxygen to wherever oxygen needs to be. So half of those neural cells keep you alive, physically. The other half of those neural cells communicate, wait for it, with the emotional center of your brain. So your heart leads your emotional response to this world. Can we just have a moment and let that sink in? Next step. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field that extends about 8 to 12 feet beyond your heart, right? So your heart, which is leading your emotional center, creates this field which your head, can you see, operates in. So your heart creates the environment that your head thinks in. And here we thought your head was so logical. And here we thought that your head led the process. And here we thought that your heart had nothing to do with it other than keep you alive. And in fact, it's the other way around. So let's bring it back to, what does this mean for us? This means that that emotional layer of your identity is so important, because that emotional layer creates the environment that your head thinks in. In other words, this is the place that you make decisions in. This is the place that you create logical decisions for your life with far-reaching consequences. Your heart has created the environment in which that happens. Can you see how important it is to manage your emotional space, your emotional identity? Now let's talk about how we manage that emotional identity. So many of us push those emotions down. Now I'm talking about dark emotions and light emotions. I'm talking about the self-loathing, and I'm talking about the self-loving. I'm talking about the positive, the negative, and everything in between. Emotions, whatever you feel, we need to give expression to. We need to stop pushing down and quelling the negative emotions and amplifying the positive emotions. We need to feel them all intensely. We need to ride through them. I want you to picture a little ship on an ocean, or a little boat on an ocean, whatever you want to call it. Does this boat simply dodge around the storms on the ocean? Or does it go through both the storms and the sunshine? Now, our emotions need to do the same, but for some reason, I believe it's ego, we have pushed down the negative emotions, and this is what's given rise to our shadow selves and the dark parts of ourselves that we haven't yet dealt with, and those places of trauma that we haven't yet explored. And that's a whole nother conversation. But first, we need to embrace both the darkness and the light. We need to experience emotion at every level as it rises up within us, because the emotions in our heart create the environment that our brain thinks in. So if you want to make good decisions, if you want to live a life of fulfillment, a life of meaning, a life of purpose, if you want to feel valued, if you want to just live a life where you wake up in the morning and you think, it is good to be alive, get control of your emotions. Wishing you an emotional week.